Eastern and Pacific.
Here's my take. President Obama spoke forcefully in his State of the Union about the importance of reviving manufacturing in America. If you talk with economists, they'll tell you it's a very complex problem involving taxes, trade, regulatory policy, exchange rates, educational skills. It is all those things. But when you move from high-level policy to specific cases, you'll often find one element that is rarely talked about: a government's role in boosting its domestic manufacturers. In a front-page story last week, the New York Times detailed how Apple's iPhone ended up being made outside America. The Times wrote about the Apple executives who visited a factory in China to see if it could cut the glass precisely for the phone's touchscreen. When the Apple team got there, the factory owners were already constructing a new wing. "This is in case you give us the contract," the manager explained. How could they afford such an extravagant gesture? Well, it turns out, the Times noted, that they received subsidies from the Chinese government. That one incident is part of a pattern. In 2009, for example, Bridgelux, a light-emitting chip manufacturer in the United States, was searching for a new factory site. The company considered the cost of building in the US and elsewhere. The government of Singapore offered to pay half the setup cost of the plant. Why can't we do that here in the US? The CEO, Bill Watkins, asked. Andrew Liveris, the CEO of Dow Chemical, has been arguing for a national policy aimed at reviving manufacturing. In his book, Make It in America, Liveris argues that not only would a manufacturing policy produce good long-term jobs, it would upgrade the job skills that are crucial to keeping innovation alive. Innovation doesn't just happen in laboratories by researchers, he told me. It happens on the factory floor. The process of making stuff helps you experiment and produce new products. If everything is made in China, people there will gain the skills, knowledge, and experience to innovate, and we will be left behind. Companies can't compete with countries, he said. Take solar energy, an industry largely invented in America, in which the manufacturing has largely moved to China thanks to massive state subsidies. Or consider wind turbines. China's biggest windmill makers have received more than $15.5 billion in credits from state-owned banks. As a result, despite many concerns about quality, they won their first major foreign orders in the past year. Over time, they will gain experience, improve quality, and further reduce costs. In industry after industry, the same pattern emerges. In theory, I'm deeply skeptical of government industrial policy. Government doesn't know how to pick winners and losers. It makes mistakes. The process gets politicized. And yet, when I look around the world, particularly in Asia, I see governments playing a crucial role. They do make mistakes, their versions of Solyndra. But they seem to view it like venture capitalists. Their role is to seed many companies. Only a few will succeed. Once successful, the government helps these companies to compete against big American and Western multinationals. There used to be a joke among Marxist economists who would say of a deviation from pure communist economics, "It might work in practice, comrade, but it doesn't work in theory." That's what industrial policy looks like these days. The theory doesn't make much sense, but it's hard to argue with the results. For more on this, you can read my column in this week's Time magazine.